It is really an honor for the Arts Commission to bring everybody together as often as we can to celebrate the arts in San Francisco and not always just bemoan what a tough year it's been for everybody. It has been a tough year for the arts. We don't need to dwell on that tonight. Tonight's the night we want to celebrate each other, celebrate not only our incredible honoree, but also all the artists in this community who give to the people of San Francisco, who enrich this city, and form one of the main reasons why San Francisco is such a special place and why it remains one of the world's great destinations. It's because of the arts, and we need to make sure our leaders remember that as things are prioritized in these difficult budget seasons. But tonight's not a night about talking about budgets. It's about celebrating one of the greatest artists of our time and any time. How good is Carlos Santana? It goes without saying. The music speaks for itself. The man speaks for himself eloquently and spiritually and emotionally. This is an internationally renowned artist who lives his life with the generosity and the humanity of a social worker, and yet is one of the biggest stars in the world today, one of the biggest stars in the world for the past several decades. It's also an international superstar who always keeps his heart here in San Francisco and in the Bay Area. And we're so fortunate to have somebody like Carlos Santana who always comes home to us, whether it's to perform, whether it's to help the community through his various charitable efforts, whether it's to just be with us. He's an incredibly special person, and we're so honored to be able to honor him tonight. So thank you. I'd like to bring up quickly, though, you can't do this alone. We have the help of a lot of city departments throughout the course of the year, and certainly throughout events like this. But we also need some sponsors from the private sector and some help. And we have had a wonderful partner for the past few years, especially since our new executive director, not so new anymore, still feels new, Luis Cancel came on the scene, and that is the San Francisco Examiner, which has helped underwrite tonight's event, as well as some of our other incredible public art happenings here in the city. And without further ado, I'd like to invite the publisher of the San Francisco Examiner, John Wilcox, to come up here and say a couple of words. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, tonight, like so many nights in this great city, is special. But it's special not just because of the award that's being received tonight, but because it honors artists from generations who've made this city great and who have been made great by the city. Writer William Saroyan said, "No city invites the heart to soar like San Francisco does." But an unknown San Franciscan may have said it better when she said, a synonym for San Francisco, inspiration. Most of us believe that leaders can inspire cities and that cities can inspire leaders. But I want to add, artists can inspire cities and cities can inspire artists. Who knows which inspiration comes first? I don't think it really matters. What does matter is that it happens right here in our city, generation after generation. We at the Examiner are proud to participate tonight in the recognition of one of music's greatest artists, and to continue to fulfill the pledge that we made over a year ago to expand our coverage of the arts and to support the arts in our community. We want to thank you for allowing us to move out on this rewarding mission. We want to thank you for the opportunity to serve tonight on this stage and on the stage that is our city every day of the week. We're honored to share this night with one of the musical greats of all time. We want to congratulate Carlos on a wonderful, outstanding career and on his award tonight. Thank you, everyone.
So the first time I saw Carlos Santana and the band Santana was the summer I graduated from high school in a little town of Angels Camp, a mountain air show where he played some legendary shows with the Grateful Dead. A lot of incredible memories and shows followed at the Fillmore Auditorium, at the Warfield. Carlos's superstar status shot really through the roof in the mid-90s and continues today. So I think the last time I saw him was at the Shoreline Amphitheater with 25,000 people. Everybody in this room, I think, most everybody in this room has seen Santana at least a few times. I know everybody in this room appreciates what an incredible artist he is, what a credible musician, songwriter, and human being he is. It's really special to be able to acknowledge that to somebody who receives his fair share of recognition but comes home to be with San Francisco. A lot of the work that went into, Mayor Newsom had the good judgment to recognize Carlos Santana, but the Arts Commission and its staff did a lot of work to make this happen. And no one more so than our executive director, Luis Cancel, who's been at the helm of this commission and this agency for the past almost 2 years now. Can't believe it's only been 2 years, but here he is, Luis Cancel.
Thank you, PJ. And we could not ask for a better president of the Arts Commission than PJ Johnson. He's been a phenomenal ally. But let me take a moment to also thank John Wilcox and his staff at the San Francisco Examiner. They really have been partners with many of the arts community, many arts organizations in the arts community, as well as the Arts Commission. Many of you will remember that when we installed Bill Fontana's installation in City Hall, the Examiner helped to spread the word out throughout the city by printing 100,000 copies of the handout that then was distributed for a whole year while Bill Fontana was had his sound installation in City Hall. So they have been extraordinary partners with us on many, many occasions. So, John, thank you so much. I have been blessed when I came to San Francisco to have found an extraordinary, talented, dedicated, hardworking, more than 40 hours a week staff. And I want to just thank them and ask all of you to join me in thanking the hardworking staff of the San Francisco Arts Commission. They really deserve it. They really work, tirelessly on behalf of the arts and culture in the city, and they never punch a clock. So they really are extraordinary. This evening we have a dual celebration because not only do we have literally a rock star honoree, but we also have many of the hundreds of artists and arts organizations that make San Francisco their home, that have been part of the Arts Commission either through grants, through exhibitions, or we commissioned them in the year 2009. And so this party is also the opportunity for the city to celebrate its good fortune to be called home by that large, talented, and creative community. And so we thank you, the artists and arts organizations, for making San Francisco your home. Yesterday, Carrie Shulman and I had the privilege of starting our day with the NEA chairman, Rocco Landesman. And we had the duty, along with Brad Erickson and Deborah Cullinan, of helping to give a kind of overview to the chairman of the NEA on the creative community of San Francisco, on the arts in San Francisco. And in a way, we were also sort of the warm-up act for our mayor, because the chairman wanted to meet with our mayor. And of course, this was a great opportunity. Here you have the chairman of the National Endowment. They've got all sorts of grants and initiatives that we're competing for. And so we had prepared a briefing paper for our mayor, and he decided to come into the larger meeting and joined us. And 15 minutes into that meeting, being a good bureaucrat, I was starting to get a little worried because the conversation had not gotten to the talking points that the staff had worked so hard on. And then lo and behold, an artist was revealed, and he masterfully guided the conversation and spoke so eloquently about the arts and the importance of the arts in this city that by the time the NEA chairman left, he was totally convinced that San Francisco would be one of the pilot cities for one of the initiatives that we have there. So I think, without stealing any of the limelight from our honoree today, that this is a great opportunity for the arts community to say, thank you, Mayor Gavin Newsom, for all the support you give the arts.
A couple more thank yous. The food tonight has been supplied and generously donated by Ula Restaurant, Bakar, Soul Restaurant, the Sausage Factory, and the Cake Gallery, which has a cake in the likeness of Carlos Santana that you got to check out before it gets cut and eaten. And our libations were provided by Jackson Family Wines, Widmar Beer, and Blue Angel Vodka. So a hand for the generous donations of our food sponsors. Thank you. All right. So the next person who is going to bring up on our honoree really needs no introduction, except to say that in the 6 years that Gavin Newsom has been the mayor of this city, he has really looked out for the arts and for this community. Luis told a story about the NEA and the visit just yesterday, but the fact is, through the good times, Mayor Newsom expanded funding for the arts in San Francisco, and in the difficult times, Mayor Newsom has protected funding for the arts, which is a tough thing to do and a brave thing to do, given the priorities the city has to keep in mind. So with that, I'd like to bring to you up to the stage, and I give you your mayor, Gavin Newsom.
Thanks, BJ. Thank you all. So I know what every one of you are thinking is, when are we going to get to the main event? And don't give me one of those long-winded speeches, Mr. Mayor, so I'll try to keep this brief. First, let me thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be here this evening. Let me thank those wonderful musicians that took the time to be here. A big round of applause again. They're entertaining us, reminding us why we're here. Thank you to Luis and to the outstanding leader of the Arts Commission, PJ, for all their hard work and their stewardship through this process, to every member of the Arts Commission for their outstanding recommendation of Carlos Santana, and to all of you for making San Francisco such a special place. I was talking to Carlos as we walked in. I said I was reminding him a little bit about this green room in this building, the War Memorial, and what this at least represents to me as mayor of this city, but also as a guy who had the privilege, as Carlos did for most of his life, to grow up in San Francisco. And that was to remind him, as I remind all of you, that this is where the United Nations was conceived. It happened right next door at the Opera building. It was signed just downstairs. This is where the UN was founded, and how appropriate the United Nations would be founded in the city and county of San Francisco, a city that proudly marks its history in the context of recognizing that it is right and appropriate to celebrate all our interesting differences, but at the end of the day, what makes us a special place, or makes this a special place to live, and I think for that matter, makes this remarkable place we call home, California, and this country of ours a special place, is our remarkable capacity to live together, to advance together, and prosper together across every conceivable difference. That at the end of the day, at our best, it's our capacity to unite around our common humanity and celebrate the things that truly unite us and bind us together. And so today, in so many ways, especially as I look out on the audience, we're celebrating those values. We're celebrating the value of diversity as our composite strength. We're celebrating the value that has brought so many of you to the forefront in terms of your unique expression that every one of you share. A city that is constantly trying to allow people to live their lives out loud and to become fully expressive, that celebrates every single day, not tolerates every single day our remarkable diversity. A city that appropriately is a city where Carlos was able to grow up because his parents recognized there was something special about this city. And he grew up in the 50s in a city that allowed him an outstanding education at James Lick and allowed him to further that education at Mission High School and graduate in 1965, and to continue the tradition, a proud tradition that was instilled in him as a very young boy with his rest of his family, his sister and others that are here tonight. And that was because of the stewardship and example of his parents and his father in particular in terms of his artistic success and his artistic talent that he inured and advanced and promoted with his children. We have all been the beneficiary of that legacy and that talent, and our lives have been elevated, our lives have been improved. We all talk about, at the end of the day, what it's all about. We all have unique stories, unique narratives that make up our lives, and the whole idea is for each one of us to try to add value in other people's lives and connect people to make their lives, their narrative, their story just a little bit better. And how many times PJ mentioned just his own experiences where we have all been elevated, that our story, our lives, the narrative that is our lives has been improved because of the talent and the passion that's been shared through the remarkable action of Carlos Santana. So it's in that spirit of tremendous amount of pride. It's that spirit that brings me here tonight to recognize one of our own, to recognize someone who has been recognized so many times, but appropriately so. Someone that, as was stated, is not just a talent on the surface, but has an extraordinary heart, an extraordinary soul, and is someone that's just really, at the end of the day, someone you want to root for, someone you want to support, because every single day he's rooting for people and he's supporting people. And so that being said, I will conclude by asking all of you appropriately to put your hands together and to, with great intensity and purposefulness, allow me, as I ask Carlos to come to the stage, to introduce the awardee of the 2010 Mayor's Art Award to our very own Carlos Santana. Carlos, come on up.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so very much. It's such a glorious, wonderful feeling to be validated, and I love to validate as well all of you. Each one of you is significant and meaningful. We are interconnected. There's not a darn thing you can do about it. I want to first thank my mother, Josefina, for her conviction, and thank my father, Jose Santana, for his charisma. I want to thank my sisters, Maria, Leti, Irma, Laura, and my brothers, Jorge and Antonio, for their prayers and their complete oneness with me. Coming to San Francisco in '63 and witnessing for the first time a Safeway filled with fruit and colors and cereal, it just blows you away coming from Tijuana or any other little town where poverty is so intense. It's really something to come to San Francisco. And my mom, yes, the mayor is right. My mom knew that she didn't want to live in Los Angeles. She said, no. She wanted to live in San Francisco. And I'm very grateful, I'm very honored for my mom that she did, because here in San Francisco, was the place where in the 60s, it was giving birth to consciousness revolution. To go anywhere in San Francisco and hear Wes Montgomery, Mongo Santa Maria, Ravi Shankar, Jimi Hendrix, I mean, so many people in such variety of ways, Aretha Franklin, the Staple Singers, Gladys Knight, Dionne Warwick, you know, everywhere I went was an affirmation that you gain more strength when you claim todos los colores, all the colors of the rainbow. Is infinitely more powerful to become transparent. Once you claim you're Mexican or Israeli or Irish, and then you look at it for what it is, and then you remember that before you were any of those things, you are made out of light and love. And those are the things that really give you peace, lasting, tangible peace. Because as you know, over the history of this planet, a lot of wars happen because of religion or differences. But I like celebrating. Like Bob Marley, One Love. Like Marvin Gaye, war is not the answer, only love can conquer hate. I love also to thank Jerry and Diane because they have helped me, friends of mine who have helped me accelerate into a new perception for myself. When you perceive that you're special, you get in trouble. Because then you start convincing yourself that you need special drugs because nobody understands your special pain. And you need a special doctor because you're special. When you accept that you are significant and meaningful, you don't need a doctor or pills. Being special is me, myself, and my story. It comes from your ego. It will always get you in trouble. When you accept that you're significant and meaningful, something happens with the universe that it gets in line, like your eyes, to look at me. But I look at you the same way that you look at me. The Creator made you in the same consciousness. I love San Francisco because when I travel around the world, and especially the rest of the United States, they just scratch their head. They go, you know, we're very different than the rest. If you don't believe me, watch Fox once in a while, you know. I call people at Fox the Ku Klux Klan without the sheets. Yeah. Which, again, is pockets of fear, you know. San Francisco, we are not afraid to say we question authority if it's not enlightened by God. We don't sanction the war in Vietnam. We don't sanction this war. And we have something to say to Barack Obama. You made a promise to invest more in education, less in incarceration. You made a promise you will bring the sisters and brothers from war. You have yet to keep your promise. We hold you to it. All of us voted for you. Keep your promise. Thank you so much. I can't help myself. I did concerts, benefits for the Black Panthers, man. You know it's got to come out, you know? To take it home, to bring it home, I want to say this. The best is still ahead for all of us in San Francisco because I know in my heart, person for person, there's more artists than con artists in the Bay Area. When you bring together the collective consciousness of artists, then you can see compassion, kindness, generosity, beauty, grace, excellence, integrity. All the things could come from the heart. I learned a lot from the Grateful Dead, you know, and Bill Graham, and I'm still a hippie, man. You know, you might see me in this thing, but in my heart, I will always be a hippie, which means a rainbow warrior. I'm not at war with anybody, but I do believe in transformation, not in elimination. Let's see what else I can touch. The youngsters. I see your eyes, and I see your eyes, and what I do, you can go beyond. Just don't get stuck. Get out of your own way. Don't get stuck with your ego. Music is the water. People are flowers, and I'm a host. Thank you so much.